Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, episode 45 of the Mystery Reviews. Wow, been doing a lot of them. So, before we get started, I do want to give a big shout out to Force of Light Entertainment, Natalie and Michelle, because they gave me a shout out on their channel yesterday that boosted my subscribers to the 970 range. So I'm currently at 971, so I just need 29 more subscribers before June in order to do the special celebration stream where you guys can roast me all over the chat and whatnot. You guys can come on. I'll dye my hair and my beard orange. You guys can clip. You guys can screenshot, do all sorts of stuff. It's all free game. So yeah, if I can get to 1,000 subs before June, I'm even doing the giveaway with the Batman movie poster from The Batman. It's an official one from the theater. So yeah, hopefully that works. Now, starting with the mystery review. The hints I gave initially were Keanu Reeves and guns. Now, a lot of people could think that automatically it's the John Wick series or it's the Matrix movies and whatnot. Well, you're close. You're indeed very close because it was one of those franchises. In fact, it's John Wick 1. After I gave Randal Duck Kim as the bonus hint, people started to get it. And my final hint earlier on Twitter an hour ago was Fortis Fortuna Adivit. Or Adwivat, rather. Which is the tattoo on John Wick's back. Fortune favors the brave. So, I'm going to pull up my talking points and we'll get into this. In 2014, Lionsgate made a movie. Not just any movie, but a movie that had great writing, acting, directing, cinematography, action, gunplay, gun safety, and moreover, a great cast. John Wick stars Keanu Reeves, Bridget Moynihan, Willem Dafoe, Alfie Allen, Michael Nyqvist, Dean Winters, Dean Winters you will know as Mayhem from all the Mayhem commercials for Allstate, Adrian Palicki, Lance Reddick, Ian McShane, and John Leguizamo. Directed by both Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, but due to DGA regulations prohibiting two directors unless unusual exceptional circumstances are presented, which none were, Leitch got credited as producer only. Now, another fun fact about this movie, Keanu Reeves did 90% of the stunt work in this film. Believe me, folks, you're going to hear a lot of cool little behind-the-scenes things and nice little goofs and whatnot in this review. So the movie starts with a car driving into a small loading area, and John Wick gets out of the car, clearly injured, looks like he's dying, and he pulls out his phone to watch a recording of his dead wife, Bridget Moynihan. We do not know that she is dead. We don't even know who this woman is at the beginning of this movie. Now, he then slumps over, and for all we know, he is dead. Well, roll credits. No, I'm just kidding. So we then jump to an indeterminate amount of time before, I'm guessing a couple days, because they don't really specify how many days it was. Oh, excuse me. And good morning to Jacob Ironside. Good to see you. And to all those in the chat on Facebook, thank you for tuning in and whatnot. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Say hi. It really does help with more interaction. So, an indeterminate amount of time backwards before the scene that we just saw, we see John waking up, pouring himself some coffee, getting ready for the day. He doesn't seem to really want to get ready for it. The house is built for two specific, or this house literally has two sinks, to everything, because he had a companion, Bridget Moynihan, apparently. And as you see that he really does notice the difference, the absence of his wife. And you see the flashes of him and his wife, and they really work to the point of setting up that this man had a very happy life. He was, or this woman was, his entire world. So when you see John going to the hospital and pulling the plug, you get the sense that this hurts even more than, well, anything else could ever do. Because when you're at the hospital and you are literally deciding whether or not to end a life of a person that you have loved for so long, that is something that I hope I never have to do, you know? And hello, Chris Daly. Which is my favorite Pirates of the Caribbean movie? The original. The Curse of the Black Pearl. But I am going to try staying on point to my review. And yes, don't forget the pencil. Yeah, we will get to the pencil. Don't worry. So we then see that during these flashes, Bridget Moynihan's character, Helen, collapsed on the pier while they were out together, and it apparently was an aggressive form of cancer that she had, and it wasn't, and she couldn't handle it. So after he pulls the plug on her, taking her off life support, he takes her bracelet, and you see him laying her to rest at her funeral and at the cemetery, and we see Willem Dafoe's character Marcus. Well, there's a small continuity error with the umbrellas, as you see John Wick come up to Marcus with 16 Spire umbrella, or Spoke umbrella, rather. Not Spire, but Spoke. And Marcus has the 8 Spoke. Well, after they're walking away, they somehow switched umbrellas. So it is a small continuity goof, and excuse me. Give me 1 second, folks. Okay. All done with that. All better. So, getting back to it, then we have a nice shot of John Wick at his house. Guests are over, family and friends of Helen, mostly, I'm guessing, because the conversation between Marcus and John asks him, I mean, does it get any better, you know? Does it? Or I just keep on asking, why her? And there's no rhyme and reason to why things happen in our lives. And John asks Marcus, why are you really here, Marcus? Just checking up on an old friend. Now, you know that these two have histories. The writing is actually very well that you know specifically that these two have history. And it is very well crafted, the story. So we then, after he is after everybody has left the party, or the after-mortem party, John Wick gets a delivery. It's a post-mortem gift from his wife, Helen. She leaves a letter telling John that he needs to love something because the car doesn't count. And there's this lovely little puppy, this baby beagle puppy that I absolutely love. And her name is Daisy. And the acting in this scene is really powerful. Keanu Reeves did a wonderful job in putting himself in that broken moment where he is reading this, and the awkwardness of the dog just not really knowing how to react. I mean, this dog is like, oh, you're going to be my new owner, but why are you so sad? You know, you can kind of read what that puppy is thinking. It's like, this is supposed to be my owner? He's very sad right now. So yes, this is a chance for John to grieve and to learn to love something now that, or to fill the emptiness that is left from his wife's passing. And it really starts off great. He's out of his league. This is kind of like a kid to him. So he pulls her out. He's like, or reads the thing. It's Daisy. He's like, of course, pushing up daisies, you know. And I love in this movie, the audience falls so completely in love with this movie, or with this puppy. And it is hard not to. And I love how the puppy goes with him while he goes out, he makes her a little bed, and she's looking at him and whatnot. And she wakes him up before the alarm, or as the alarm goes off, licking him and like trying to very urgently. So he goes out to pick up the paper, and the dog runs out. He's like, hey, oh, realizes, well, yeah, the dog does have to go to the bathroom, you know? So I love these little moments because it shows that this is something he's not used to. A life that is, from what we know of him, for those of us who are fans of the film, we know he's a retired expert assassin. He's a master assassin. But so now this life with this puppy and whatnot, it's new to him. He just lost his wife. He's never had a puppy. This is stuff that every pet owner goes through the first time, you know? So he makes himself some food, and he pulls a bowl of cereal for him and the dog and milk. And he's like, I'll pick you up some kibble when I go out. Well, then he goes out and he drives a 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. This is a beautiful car, by the way. And we then get introduced to Yosef Tarasov and the Russian goons, played by Alfie Allen and others. Now, there's a geography error fact in this scene when he is pumping gas. He's in the film, he is in New Jersey. However, this was filmed in northern Nyack, New York. So in New Jersey, they're pumping the gas by themselves. That's banned in real life. The state has a self-serve ban. You're not allowed to pump your own gas. So that's just a nice little fact behind the scenes, you know? And Yosef is talking with his guy, and then he sees the car, and he starts chatting up John. And he's like, is it 68? No, 69. He's like, how much? What? How much for the car? She's not for sale. And then he says, he sees the puppy, and he's like, yeah, I love puppies. And then he says in Russian, everything's got a price, bitch. Well, John looks at Yosef, and he's like, not this bitch. And that pisses off Yosef. And He's going to do something, but Yosef's right hand, Victor, grabs him and pulls him away, and he then leans down to John and he says, "Have a nice day, sir." Now, if you look in the back of John's car, you actually see that John has indeed picked up some food for Daisy and also some toys, some doggy toys and whatnot. So he actually did remain consistent and picked up some stuff. And then we get the scene at the airport while they drive, or after John drives off, and you see that Yosef is looking after the vehicle as it drives off, and Victor looks at him and shakes his head, knowing that there's going to be a problem later. So this does a good way of selling how this might be an innocuous thing, but it clearly is a threat. So we get to the airport tarmac drive, the runway drive, and John is putting his car through his paces while drifting. Now, you also get the feeling that he wants to die as he speeds toward some plow trucks and then pulls out at the last second. And also the gate guard that let him in. I do actually want to toss this in. The gate guard, this is a fun fact, is reading a book from the 1970s called Shibumi. It is about a retired master assassin getting dragged back into the game, which is a nice foretelling of what John Wick is about to happen with John Wick. Now, the pencil story that is told by Vigo later about how John kills 3 men in a bar with a pencil, with a fucking pencil. Well, this is actually a crucial moment in that novel, Shibumi. So yeah. So then that night, John's about to go to sleep. And that's when Yosef and his thugs decide to take John's car, beat the shit out of John, and you hear the dog whining, and she's very distressed. This scene totally breaks my heart, where they say, "Shut that fucking dog up." And thankfully, they don't show the dog actually being killed, but they do show the dog very still. And John is getting the shit kicked out of him. And then you see Yosef come up, pull his little mask down, and he says, "Sleep tight, bitch," and then knocks out John. Well, to add insult to injury, the dog ends up right in front of John as he comes to. So either Daisy had enough life left in her to crawl up to John, or the Russians just grabbed the dead dog and dragged it over to her. But it's because there is such a blood trail that makes me suggest that this dog crawled up to John before it passed. And that is just so freaking heartbreaking. Folks, believe me, in this movie, I cried a lot at this scene. It hurts to see animals, especially young animals, killed like this. But this works as a plot point to actually push John back into what he was. And so when he wakes up, he cradles the dog, he holds it, and then he buries it. It jumps to him burying the dog in a box in the backyard, and he has the leash that said Daisy's name. He puts it up next to his wife's bracelet on his bedroom counter or his bedroom desk. And when he is cleaning up the blood, you get flashes of stuff that are of all the tragedy in his life, including what just recently happened, the assault that Yosef brought on him. And you then see him look up, and this look says it all. It is pure rage. And good to see you, Kamen Rider. How you doing? Got off the stream, and now you're here. Thank you very much for supporting the stream. Make sure that you share the stream out, folks, and smash the like button while you're at it. So getting into the next scene, we see, we see that Yosef Tarasov takes the car to somebody, and it turns out to be John Leguizamo, who plays the character of Aurelio. Now, I love how they cut the scene off, they cut the scene off. So when Yosef is saying, I want new VIN number, registration, and all that, and Leguizamo's character, Aurelio, he notices or he recognizes this car. He's like, where'd you get that car? Well, then you see the scene just cut over to where John is. And John immediately sees that there's a baseball bat through his van that belonged to his wife, most likely. And the tires are slashed. So, well, he realizes that he has to go somewhere else or get there some other way. So he takes the bus and he gets off at Aurelio's. He even has the bloody shirt on that he still wore. The only difference is he put on some shoes and whatnot and a jacket or his leather jacket. Now he goes in and everybody's looking at him as he walks by because they recognize him. So you know that John Wick is known here as well. And he sits right down by Aurelio, and Aurelio sees him and he knows that, oh shit, you know, and he's like, is it here? And so Aurelio pours him a drink. It was. And then we go back to that cutscene and you see that Aurelio's clearly distressed. He's like, I asked you, where'd you get that car? He's like, what the fuck doesn't matter where we got it? He's like, just get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Just take the car, get out of here. And they're like, did you lose your shit, Aurelio? We own you. And Aurelio turns right back to Yosef. He's like, what'd you say? What'd you just say to me? We own you. You don't own me, punk. I work with your father. And he asks him, so the guy that owned the car, did you kill him? He's like, no. But we sure fucked up his dog. And he's like, oh, yeah, you fucked up his dog. Yeah. And then he punches Yosef. And another guy pulls a gun, or one of his lackeys pulls a gun. And he's like, oh, look at you. You're going to come in here into my fucking shop and pull a gun on me? Go ahead, fucking shoot me and whatnot. And so they put the gun away, and Victor, which is Yosef's right-hand guy, is like, Vigo is not going to like this. And he's like, what do you know what Vigo likes? But I'll tell you what, he certainly will understand. And then as he's walking away, Yosef's pissed off. He's like, you got a pair on yourself, old man. I guess we're going to take our business elsewhere. And it's like, with what's coming, I don't think he'll care. So he tells him Yosef Tarasov nicked it. And Keanu knows exactly who Yosef Tarasov is. He's like, Vigo's son. Yeah. So what are you going to do? I need a ride. Well, John now has a new ride. It looks like a Charger, so it's similar to the one that he owns. Now, I love this because they cut right to the next scene a little later that night, and it shows Aurelio picking up the car or picking up the phone, and Vigo is on the other side, and he's just looking out among the city. So you automatically know this guy's big deal. This is so well done. How this movie establishes characters, how the cinematography just adds to what the story is being told. It is so well done. So he's up looking over the city. So you now know that this guy's a big, or is like mafia boss like. And he's like, I heard that you struck my son. And you hear Aurelio, yes, sir, I did. And may I ask why? Well, sir, he stole John Wick's car and he killed his dog. And then this mafia boss, this guy, this Vigo Tarasov, turns to the camera. So now you see his face. Oh, You see the fear on his face. Well, the mention of John Wick and how his son has wronged this guy, John Wick, you now know that John Wick is more than just an unassuming nobody. You know that there's more to John Wick. This is such great storytelling. You know there's more to John Wick. You know who he is, but you don't know what he's capable of if you are watching this movie for the first time and have never seen the trailers. Good morning, Jack of all casuals. Good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping in. And so he goes down, and his lawyer goes up to him, and he's talking to him. He's like, they've agreed to your terms, because he's handling some other business. And Yosef is just shocked right now, and he's like, congratulations. Is there something wrong, sir? Have you seen my son? Well, then Yosef Tarasov goes in. Now, this is an interesting scene. The scene between Yosef and his father, Vigo, where Vigo tells him about John. And let's see here. There we go. Let me just fix the there. So when Yosef goes in, Yosef pours pours 2 drinks of vodka. He walks up. He's not looking his son in the eye. He also gets up in his son's face, and he hands him a drink of vodka. Well, his son thinks he just thinks he's about to be doted over. Maza, good to see you, man. How you doing? He's Baba Yaga. No, he's the man who sends to kill Baba Yaga. Yeah, we're going to get to that. And so this is a Russian custom. It's a European custom, if I remember correctly. Now, if he pours the vodka, he pours him a drink, he toasts. Now, if you notice, Vigo doesn't drink that one that he just poured and toasted with his son. His son just knocks it back without problem. So he sets it down, and he's like, that's a nice jacket. Yeah. And then slugs his son right in the stomach, forcing him to just puke up the vodka that he just drank. And so he tells his son, throws a rag at him. He's like, clean that up. And so his son asks, what did I do? You fucked up. And he thinks he fucked up on his last assignment. Well, he's like, I'm not talking about Atlantic City. What, at Aurelio? So I stole a fucking car. And you're old enough to watch this movie, Mazda. Good to see you, Dan Blackroyd. Good to see you, buddy. And so he tells him, he's like, so I stole a fucking car. And then he freaking picks him up, and he slugs him in the stomach again. Now, Mayhem, I can't remember his name in this movie. Dean Winter's character, Mayhem, is fucking so nervous. And he's like, you want me to go, Vigo? And he's like, no, you stay. You stay. You're going to watch this whole fucking shit, you know? And he's like, it's not what you did that distresses me so, son. And he pours himself another drink of vodka, different drink, different bottle, different glass. Because as I said, in this custom, you do not, or if you are toasting something that you don't agree with, you're not going to drink. That's that custom. And it's wonderful that they actually show it in this. But it's who you did it to that angers me so. Who? A fucking nobody? That fucking nobody is John Wick. Well, you are now understanding that John Wick, this guy who just lost his wife, just had his dog killed, was on the outs, ready to kill himself at the runway, where he was about to run into some freaking plows and whatnot, also killing the dog along with him if he thought about it. Is now more than is somebody that a Russian mafia boss fears. And you understand, or I love how they cut it between John going down into his basement with a sledgehammer and getting ready to tear into his floor, his concrete floor, and Vigo tells him, We called him Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. Well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. And Yosef's like, oh, yeah. John is a man of focus, commitment, and sheer will. And you, my son, not 2 days after his wife dies, you steal his car and you kill his fucking dog. And he also tells him, I once seen him kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil. And as you see this whole explanation playing out, John is unleashing his anger on this floor where he's beating up the floor with the sledgehammer. You see him just going at it and screaming with his rage. I actually have the GIF, I call it Wick Rage, where he's ripping into the floor with the sledgehammer. And then he tells him, he's like, Father, I can make this right. Oh, or no, wait, he doesn't get, not that part yet, but he tells him, he used to be an associate of ours. And one day he just wanted to quit. It's over a woman, of course. So I gave him an impossible task, a task that nobody could have pulled off. The amount of bodies he buried that day laid the foundation to what we are now. And then he goes up to telling him, and he's like, and you, my son, not 2 days after he buries his wife, you steal his car and you kill his fucking dog. And he's like, Father, allow me to make this right. Oh, what will you do? If I finish what I start. Did he not even fucking hear what I said? He's talking to his lawyer. He's like, and Yosef tries speaking in Russian and he cuts him off. He's like, son, Yosef, listen to me. John will come for you. And there's not a thing you're not gonna do nothing because you can do nothing. Nice little stuff going on. Yes, I'm reviewing John Wick, Kamen Rider. And so he tells him, now get the fuck out of my sight. And so he tries calling John. During this time, John has unveiled what he was digging up. It's guns and gold coins and whatnot. So you also see that Vigo has the same kind of gold coins and a lot of cash, and he pulls out a book from his safe that he had to dust off. And then he dials up John's number, and he's like, John. Now, if you notice John earlier in the film, you see that he had a wristwatch on his left wrist, where at that time the head of the watch was on the outside. Well, now John has the watch on the inside. This tells you that there is a shift in John's mentality right now. John is now in combat mode. John is not, there's no peace that is going to happen right now. He is going to start killing. This, or a simple thing like turning over a watch to this side. Now, a lot of people maybe, well, that could just be a preference. No. When you are shooting rifles, if you are a right-handed person and you're shooting a rifle, and say you're out on an assassin job, you have your watch, you have your rifle, you can see your watch as you're holding that rifle, and well, then there you go. When you need to pull that trigger at whatever second you need to know, there you go. Also, there's no reflection of the watch if it's on the inside that will betray your position. This is all strategic stuff. This is all small details that are so great that they show in this movie. And hello to the folks watching on Facebook. I believe it would be Jason Demenis. Thank you for leaving a like. So yeah, he calls up John, and John's just listening. He's like, I'm sorry, my condolences, John. Let's not reduce ourselves to our basic instincts, and let's handle this like civilized click. John is not in the mood for talking. This is another very symbolic display or expression. This person has been unforgivably wronged. He is not going to associate with the person that is trying to bargain on the offender's behalf. He is not going to listen. He is not going to bargain. He's not going to do anything. There's nothing to be said in this moment. And so when his lawyer asks him, what did he say? Enough. There was so much said without a word being spoken. That's a technical way to wear a watch. It's also or I think you meant tactical, Jacob. Yes. When I actually wore a watch when I was younger, I saw my dad wore a watch like that, so I ended up doing it too. So now he turns to his lawyer and he's like, task your crew. How many? How many do you have? And John now knows that as Vigo has called him and he wants nothing to do with Vigo right now, he knows that something's going down or something's going to go down before he has a chance to go after Vigo's son. So we see John now in the shower, and we see the tattoo on his back that says Fortis Fortuna ad Adiavat, which means fortune favors the brave. He then dresses in his nice little assassin suit as you see Vigo singing the song of Baba Yaga in Russian. And you see the people in John's house that are there to kill him. Well, the choreography for this fight is so freaking well done. And it also shows you the absolute skill of John Wick. This is John Wick, or the John Wick that Vigo is afraid of. Yeah. And so when you see him do headshot or body shot headshot, every person he kills, except for a couple of them, you see or when he has the guns, he always leaves a headshot to whoever he's shooting. This is a tactical way to ensure that whoever you shoot is not going to have any sort of life left in them that can be used against you. His skill with CQC or close quarters combat is so freaking great. And another wonderful thing I liked about this movie is it's ammunition aware, meaning each magazine spent has the exact amount of rounds used before reload. So as you see in many shoot 'em up movies, you see that whoever's shooting the guns, well, somehow they have more than 6 rounds in a freaking revolver, unless it's a 7-round revolver, and they still somehow shoot to like 10 times and whatnot. It's so next level. Keanu Reeves transforms in the scene. Yes, he goes from a grieving widower to an assassin in like that, essentially. There's nothing of his previous life that he is focusing on right now in this moment. And when he kills each of these people, he makes sure he kills them all dead to where they can't get up. And then when he finally kills the last guy, the knife in his hand, you can see that the knife kind of to give you a, I think it's over there. I'll use this. It's oh wait, I got a knife. There it is. I'll use this knife for reference. Now, when he stabs the last guy, if your knife is in skin, so it's only in between my fingers, folks, you're not going to get much movement out of it if it's in a body, say. So you're not going to get much play here with the knife. But when he pops it, or hey, pops, pops it. Yeah. So when he stabs the last guy to kill him, that knife is obviously digital because obviously he's moving his hand like this, not like this with the knife to have the play of the knife's position, but it's actually going like this. So yeah, that knife, or that is a small technical digital goof. So then he gets a YouTuber called Ryan Roger Athe. Oh, I know Ryan, or I know RRA. Did a video where he gives his thoughts on you. Yeah, I saw that, and I'm very appreciative to Ryan for that. Kamen Rider. Thank you. So yeah, shout out to Ryan Roger Athe. So you then see the or hear a knock on his door, and he goes and opens it up. There's the cops outside. You can see the lights flashing inside because it's translucent windows and whatnot. And he's like, "Evening, John. Evening, Jimmy." Okay, automatically established. They know each other. He asks him, "Noise complaint?" "Noise complaint." And then you see his eyes shift over to the dead body, and they look back. He's like, "You working again?" "No, I'm just sorting some stuff out." He's like, "Okay, right. I'll leave you to it. Have a good night, John. Good night, Jimmy." Now, you know that this little exchange, even though it is very simple, tells you even Jimmy knows who John Wick is. So this whole fraternity of assassins in this group that all these people belong to, obviously, they have people installed in the police force to give less attention to anybody who is in this group of assassins. Because in the first movie, you're not aware of the high table. You're not aware that it is a literal criminal organization that has spanned the world over. You're not aware of that level of sophistication in this whole situation yet. Now, Wick then goes and calls for a dinner reservation for 12. He's like, "This is Wick." "Yes, John Wick, that's right. I need a dinner reservation for 12. Now, that's odd. But then a special disposal unit comes up. He's like, "After all these years, I thought you had left all this behind." The guy, Charlie, and you see these guys just clean up the entire house, wrap up the bodies, take it all out, and John hands these gold coins to Charlie. So you now get the idea that these gold coins are very freaking valuable. Now, a lot of people have asked, how much is a gold coin worth? It's more than just monetary value. This gold coin is probably worth like $2,000 monetarily, but the coins are also symbolic in that they are a part of this world, but they are also meant to say this is a favor for a favor. This is a quid pro quo, so to speak. So yes, after John has the place cleaned up and whatnot, Vigo realizes that all the men are dead. Well, he's like, "I want you to put a contract on John Wick." "How much?" $2 million. And then he also has Yosef put in the red circle. And he's like, "I want you to put Yosef in the red circle and wait." "Wait for what?" "John Wick, of course." And then he says and then he says something in Russian. And I love the little thing between Mayhem and his boss, Vigo. He's like, "English, Vigo, please." He just keeps on asking him for English because he doesn't understand a fucking word of Russian. You're his lawyer and you don't understand what he's saying in Russian? It's like, dude, if you are a shit lawyer if you don't know your client's own language. Because how are you supposed to discuss things between your client that you don't want other people to know if you are if this person is a freaking criminal, you know? Maybe you should invite him in a stream sometime. I actually plan on doing that sometime. Kamen Rider. Yeah. So, yeah. So then John Wick checks into the Continental as his friend takes the contract on him from Vigo, his friend Marcus, because Vigo visits Marcus. He's like, I have a job offer for you, and I got a phone. I wanted to offer this to you personally or face to face because you might take it personal. Okay. Would you kill John Wick for $2 million? Is the contract exclusive? No, it's open. It's a timely matter. It needs to be handled quickly. Consider it done. Well, that tells you that even though he's friends with John Wick, he's willing to take money for the contract, you know? The contract is an honorable thing, whatnot. So it just makes you wonder, right? And while you see the setup and whatnot, you're hearing the song Killing Strangers. I can't remember from who. Now, another thing I liked about Marcus is that he's a juicer. He's just juicing up a bunch of fruit and vegetables. He offers it to Vigo, and he's like that. And Vigo doesn't drink it after sniffing, and he's like, ugh. He's like, sets it down, doesn't touch it. So when John gets to the Continental, as he's getting out of his car, you see that Marcus has already been tailing him. And this is in this city in New York. This is in Manhattan. And we get to the Continental. Well, you hear Lance Reddick, who's Karen, or Sharon, or however, is played by Lance Reddick, who is a great actor in his own right. I've seen him play in a few other movies myself with, I believe, Kong or Godzilla vs. Kong was one of the last movies he did that I saw him in. He played a small bit role in that, but he has played in other shows and movies as well. And we're also introduced to Perkins, played by Adrian Palicki. Now, if you don't know who Adrian Palicki is, she has played in shows and movies. She's, I believe, a Canadian actress. She played in Gotham, and she's played in the Flash series on the CW as King Cold's sister, Golden Glider. So, yes. And she after she turns around and sees John, she's like, good to see you again, John. And he's like, Perkins. So then Reddick talks to him. He's like, we have you for 2 nights. Depending on business, it may be more. He's like, all right. So he also is talking gently with him. He's like, see, the place has gotten facelift. He's like, there's been a few changes and whatnot. Same owner. So this is casual talk between people that are part of this organization, you know? And I just love how it's such a monumental way of telling a story without saying too much. And so when he checks in and Wick's walking away, and as always, it's a pleasure to see you again with us, Mr. Wick. Everybody has to hear this. So he walks up to his room, and 818 is his room, 8th floor, 18th room. And he watches the video of his wife as a reminder of his happier time, so that he's not completely lost to the butchery that he will be committing. He then goes down to the parlor, in which is part of this whole Assassins organization, and we get introduced to Ian McShane, who plays Winston, the owner of the Continental. We also see that Perkins is down there enjoying a wormed martini. Never going to drink one of those ever in my life. And he goes up. He's like, Winston, Jonathan. If I remember correctly, you were supposed to, weren't you the one to dole out the beatings, not receive them? Rusty, I guess. He's like, so what do I owe the pleasure? Yosef Tarasov. What of him? I'd like to talk with him. Talk. I am familiar with the parlance, Jonathan, so I must ask you, have you come back to the fold? Just visiting. You got out once. And have you thought about this? I mean, really chewed it down to the bone. You got out once. If you dip so much of a pinky back into this pond, you might find someone reaches out and grabs you all the way and pulls you back in. So this is actually a foretelling of what will happen in the second film. I'm only reviewing the first film, but this is basically foretelling of the second film of what happens with the Italian guy. I forget his name. And he's like, and he tells him, he's like, so sit down, have a drink. And we also understand, or we get a cut to Vigo. We have, while he's driving around with his pet lawyer, we have contact with the Continental saying that John Wick has just arrived. They're willing to take him out for us. How brazen. If they're willing to break the rules of the Continental, double the bounty. And you then get cut back to Winston, where he says the golden rule that no business will be conducted on continental grounds, lest incurring heavy penalties. And then he's like, so just sit back, have a drink, and enjoy your evening. Well, Jonathan then gets up and tells him as he's leaving, it's personal. And Winston takes note of this. Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. That's essentially, yes, John Wick. He just wants to stay out of it. He wants to live his life. He wants to just leave it alone, but something pulled him back in, you know? And so he goes to the bar, and Addie is the bartender. She gives him a nice little kiss on the cheek. They have a nice little talk, 5 and change. Hasn't seen each other in 5 years and change. And she's like, so what was it like on the other side? It was great, Addie. Far more than I deserved. I've never seen you like this. Like what? Vulnerable. Usual? Yes, please. And so she's like compliments of the house. And just before this happens, you see Adrian Palicki's character Perkins look at her phone and put it away and look over at John. So you now know that Perkins is the contact of Vigo Tarasov. So it's like, okay, these two are going to go at it sometime. Now, Addie comes forward with a drink. She's like, compliments of the house, and he's about to take a drink, or looks down at it. He looks back at Winston. Winston gives him a toast. And he then turns around. He doesn't take the drink. So the camera pans down and shows red circle where Yosef is. And also a nice little lipstick kiss from Addie on the I forget what it's called. I'm sorry. Napkin. Thank you. Jesus. My mind slips, folks. So we then get introduced to the Red Circle. It's a club or several floors. It's a personal club. It's a dance club. It's a bathhouse. It's all sorts of stuff. And we see that Yosef is getting drunk there and enjoying himself and whatnot. And we then see the head of the Red Circle security is played by Daniel Bernhardt. Now, if you know the Matrix movies, you know who Daniel Bernhardt is. He played the agent from Matrix Reloaded that fought Morpheus on the truck on the highway or the freeway. So you know that this guy is most likely going to be a badass because he's very well versed in martial arts. And he goes down and talks to Yosef, and he's like, I'm paid to keep you safe. I'm not here to pay or to babysit a drunkard. He's like, you afraid of the boogeyman? I'm not afraid of the fucking boogeyman. No, but you should be. So even the Red Circle security knows that John Wick is indeed dangerous. And they have security checks every few minutes. So John goes through the back door of the Red Circle thanks to the guard, Francis, who is this big-ass dude. And he tells him, he's like, or he puts the gun up to Francis's head. And he's like, Mr. Wick, Francis, you're working tonight, sir. Afraid so, Francis. You lost weight, 60 kilograms. Yeah, impressive. He's like, are you working, sir? Afraid so, Francis. Why don't you take the night off? And Francis pulls out his earpiece, and he's like, thank you, sir. So this tells you that Wick is not just a brutal killing machine that will kill indiscriminately. If he knows a person that hasn't wronged him, he's willing to give that person a chance to walk away. And Francis takes it, thankfully. And you also see Vigo, one of Yosef's boys, is prepping to get ready for his time in the club. And John Wick gets through the door, slices the neck of one of the guys, and then goes after Victor. And he kicks Victor in the nuts, starts drowning him out, and he's like, where's Yosef? And he gets him to tell him, bathhouse downstairs. And he's like, you stole my car and you killed my fucking dog. And then he drowns the guy as the guy's trying to say, fuck you, and then he snaps his neck. And so they're doing more of the, you see more of the festivities in the club and whatnot, and you see Wick looking for his target. Now, when he finally zeroes in on Yosef, he stops and he just leans in to look at Yosef to burn that image into his head, into his eyes, into his memory. And then you see the checkpoints everybody's reporting on, and as soon as, you hear the song by Kaleda, Think by Kaleda. And this is a nice little song. I actually looked for it after I saw the movie for the first time a few years ago. And I really like that song. It's actually on my favorites playlist. So another thing about John is that he is very methodical. As you said, he's a man of focus, commitment, and sheer will. But he's also not stupid. He waits until people give the all clear, and then he kills them. And he kills them very quickly after they report all clear, because this is something that gives you optimum time after the check-in to get to your target. And when he kills one guy, as the guy's slumping down, he just looks into his eyes as he slumps down. This tells you that Wick is fully committed to what he is doing. He has no remorse for any of the people that he is killing right now. They are in his way. They are here to stop him from doing what he needs and wants to do. So they're nothing to him. He will look into their eyes as he dies, and he will feel nothing. And Keanu Reeves handles this so well. I mean, it's like maybe he would be an expert assassin, because if you actually look up on YouTube, look up Keanu Reeves gun training for John Wick, you will see how well he handles this. He set range records, for crying out loud. I believe Gina Carano also went to the same range that Keanu Reeves did for John Wick. But yeah, you see how well that Keanu Reeves trained for these movies with gun training, gun safety, and all of it. He really does commit to the roles that he plays, and it is so well done. And another fun fact about the Red Circle is that Keanu Reeves learned all of the choreography and all of that the day of that shoot for that particular scene. He saw it, learned it, and then did it all within the day of that of shooting for that scene. That's how good Keanu Reeves is as an actor. Good to see you, NB Geeks. Honest Trailer did a review with the director. I think that it was stated that pretty much killing a dog on a movie is pretty much an open ticket that no one is going to feel bad for who he kills. Yeah. So when John finally gets caught by security and they all start going after him, I love how Wick sees Yosef and has Yosef's about to pull the gun, so Wick zeroes in on him with the gun, pointing to him, and he's holding the guy down. So as he has the gun on Yosef, he keeps his eyes on Yosef and then just shoots the guy in the head that he's holding down and then gets ready to kill Yosef. Yosef freezes in this moment. It's like, oh my God, he actually came here. So he starts running around like a spoiled little bitch in a towel with the gun and whatnot. Now, one of the interesting things is when, he's shooting, when Wick is shooting, when he's locking onto, or when he's shooting at Yosef, you see that Wick trains the weapon right in front of Yosef so that that's optimal to try to hit Yosef when you're shooting at or if you're shooting at a moving target, you do not point strictly at the target. You go a couple of paces ahead depending on how fast they are moving. Those long scenes with no cuts. Yes, that's another thing that this movie does well, is long scenes with little cutting. Now, the security for that's trying to kill John Wick, when they're running, they're actually pointing the gun at Wick. That's why they're missing. Now, even though Wick does miss Yosef when he's aiming ahead, it's still a better chance that he would actually hit Yosef, even though he does miss him. But however, his chances of hitting Yosef are actually greater than somebody shooting at a moving target that's moving, but you're pointing your gun at the target. If you shoot at the guy that's moving, or if you're pointed the gun at a moving target and you're pointing at the target itself as it's moving, once you pull that trigger, that bullet's going straight at where the target was, not where the target is. So you train your weapon, you train your sights to follow the target by leading the target. This is shooting 101, folks. Now, after he gets out of the bathhouse, here's another fun fact of, if you know certain things. In the scenes in the club, in the hallways and stuff, I do love how John Wick transitions smoothly between shooting styles depending on the situation. When he's in tight hallways or CQC, close quarters combat, he employs what's known as a center axis relock stance, in which, you know what? I'll use my gun cane. This is a cane, folks. It's not real. as a reference. So a gun or a center axis relock is where you are sideways, your weapon is close to you, close to the chest, and your stance gives you a side, you're standing sideways, which gives you a thinner profile, meaning you are presenting less of a target as you are moving around. Also, by having the weapon close to you like this, you should definitely be an actor. I'm aware of my limitations. You cannot shoot at a person running as they are running, and you target them, they are gone by the time you pull the trigger. You have to go ahead where, yeah, that is, you're right. Gun training 101. Yeah. But then I do appreciate the thought, Kamen Rider. I did do a small little bit of acting when I was in school for plays and whatnot. But yes, when you are holding a gun like this instead of like this, where if you're rounding a corner and your gun or your arms are out like this, a person could come in, put your arm down, and pull the gun away. Well, when you are like this, you're not presenting that kind of you're not actually presenting that kind of open potential for getting your weapon disarmed. Now, when he's shooting longer shots or in a more open shots, he presents or he actually adopts the isosceles and stance or Weaver stances, where your arms are out and you're more like this with a level, or where your body is more open. You're presenting more of an open system for being targeted. Now, during this whole sequence where he is killing everybody and whatnot and moving his way through the club, I love how this movie does show that John is not perfect. He gets shot. He gets cut. He loses in hand-to-hand against some people. Daniel Bernhardt's character literally tries busting a water bottle, or not a water bottle, a champagne bottle over his arm. And even though that misses, well, bust immediately goes in straight into the side right here. Well, okay, because this shows you that these people are very skilled in combat. What is it, 7 days to get 28 more subs for the hair special? Yes, I need, 28? Did I get a couple more subs? Nice. I'm now at 272 apparently. Or 972. That's awesome. Man, I have not heard about those dances in quite a spell. Yeah. Believe me, I did my research for this for this movie. I did, for this review. I looked up a lot of stuff, and because it is something that I also find interesting. So, as I was saying, when say this is a champagne bottle bust, well, this part's shattered, and now you have a weapon already, boom, right into the side. There you go. So shatter, well, then stab in, because you just created a weapon, even though the person just blocked it initially. And so also another thing that I forgot to say, as John is preparing to go into the red circle, he has the body armor. He puts a knife down in the bottom of his shoe, or the bottom of his shoe area, and he also has a small 25 caliber or 22 or 25 caliber pistol right back here above his right flank. So when Daniel Bernhardt's character throws him over the second floor balcony in the dance room, you also, if you pay very close attention to the person falling and the landing, you'll see that it cuts. That the person falling is not Keanu Reeves, but the person landing is Keanu Reeves. So, yeah. And then he pulls that weapon and tries to kill the guy, but he eventually gets away. Now, Yosef has made it outside, and his other friend has gotten him out. And he's calling Victor, and Victor's not out there. Well, as Wick is now getting out, he's like, Victor, where the fuck are you? Victor's dead. Everything has a price, bitch. And then he gets out, and he gets back to the Continental. So when also one other thing before we get back to the Continental, when you are watching the sequence where he's fighting and where he's shooting and whatnot, you see in some scenes where he's moving around that the camera is shaky. It's chaotic. It's reflective of the chaotic situation being filmed. So, yeah. Now, back at the Continental, he has the doctor sent up, and he's like, how good is your dry cleaning? He's talking to Sharon. He's like, how good's your dry cleaning? I'm afraid nobody's that good, because he sees all the blood. He's like, yeah, I thought not. So he's like, I'll send the doctor up. Yes, please. And bourbon, perhaps. Yeah, thank you. And so Randal Duck Kim, who played the Keymaster in The Matrix Reloaded, plays the doctor in this movie. Now, Stileski, Leach, Randal Duck Kim, and Keanu Reeves are all part of the production of the Matrix trilogy. Leach and Stileski were stunt directors and whatnot. Apparently something's going on outside. But yeah. So, and I also like how the doctor tells it to him straight. He's like, so what kind of movement am I looking at? Well, if you're looking to heal, marginal. However, if you're looking to, or if you still have further business, take 2 of these. He grabs the meds and he's like, your stitches will tear, you'll bleed, but you'll have full function. And he's like, do you need anything for the pain? No, I got that covered. And then he's like, thanks, doc. Now, we then see Marcus outside the Continental, and he's ready to kill Wick. He's going to shoot Wick. He has his sights ready to shoot Wick with his rifle. Now, if you pay close attention to Marcus's hair, you see that the wind is affecting it. So when Marcus is targeting Wick and then he sees that somebody's in the house, or coming, not in the house, but in Wick's apartment or room, you see that he points right back at Wick and pulls the trigger, knowing that the wind will affect the trajectory of the bullet. So it only strikes the pillow like right here. Right here. And he's like, okay. So he gets out. He's now alerted that there's danger. And then he sees Perkins, and we get into the fight with Miss Perkins. And I love the little banter between them. And as he hooks up Perkins, and he's like, I didn't know I thought Perkins didn't get out of bed for more than 3. And she tells him, Vigo's paying me $4 million to break house rules. That is unwise, I assure you. And she's like, uh-huh. Now, another great thing about Perkins is she's a very smart fighter. She knows he's in, or she sees during the fight that he's injured, so she goes for the injuries. She hits him in the area where he's injured the most to try to get the upper hand. Now, in this hand-to-hand sequence, John Wick is a judoka, meaning he studies traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, emphasizing throws, head and arm throws, where Perkins is traditional or uses Brazilian jiu-jitsu or jiu-jitsu, using a Kimura shoulder lock, also the crucifix position, basically is how she winds or keeps him outward and then goes for his wounds. And she also uses her leather jacket as a gi to perform what's known as a wing choke hold. And this fight just basically shows how exemplarily skilled they both are. and how Sharon is just on the phone because you hear the phone ringing in the background, and you see Sharon just waiting there. And so after the fight, and you see Perkins just crawling away, and you also see Marcus putting away his rifle. John picks up the phone. He's like, "I'm sorry to call you at this late hour, but we've received a number of grievances considering the noise from your floor." "Yeah, I was dealing with uninvited guests. Sorry about that." He's like, "Are you in need of, say, a dinner reservation?" "Maybe. I'll get back to you on that." So then he goes up to Perkins, chokes her out in the middle of the hallway. He's like, "Where's Yosef?" "Fuck you." "Where's Vigo?" "I ain't telling you shit." "Do you want to die here, Perkins? Give me something." And so she tells him about Little Russia. There's a church, and it's Vigo's private stash. And so he knocks her out. You would think when everyone is telling him, this guy is coming to kill you and he is not going to stop, you should be afraid, but he did not realize this until it was too damn late. Well, that's the problem with entitled little rich pricks like Yosef Tarasov. He thinks nothing can harm him. He has to learn the hard way that that's not the case. So then after he knocks him out, you hear a click in back of him, and he's like, "Do I know you?" "I'm thinking so." And he realizes that it's Harry. Now, the actor who plays Harry, I believe I have his name in here. Unfortunately, I do not. But I have seen him in other movies as well. So he's like, "Harry, are you keen on getting a coin? Just need you to watch this little one." He's like, "Catch and release, catch and release." So Harry has her tied up and handcuffed while John assaults the church. Now, as John's walking in, he notices he's able to spot the guards immediately. So when the priest goes up, he caps the damn priest in the knee and then dispatches the other guys up there, or the 3 or 4 guys that are there for security. And he's like, "Take me to the vault." So he then gets down to the vault and he's like, he caps one guy and wounds another. And the priest is like, "What are you going to do? Kill me? Or I'm not going to open the vault." And he's like, "Or do you think you could scare me into opening this vault? Vigo will kill me." So John just points his rifle and shoots the other guy that's getting up. And so the guy punches in the code and he's like, "Ladies, leave." And he strings out all the stuff. Now, they do cut away from this scene. Hold on one second. Hangnail, sorry. And as they cut away from this while John goes to work on the vault stash, you see Harry is getting ready to check out, and Perkins breaks her thumb down so she can slip the cuff. And he tells her, or when she tries offering him more than just a gold coin, she's like, "How would you like to make more than a gold coin? You broke house rules. You conducted business on continental grounds, and management doesn't take too kind to that." And so she's like, "Fuck management." So she headbutts him, slips the cuff, and then shoots him under, or puts a pillow over his head and shoots him through the pillow to muffle the sound of the pistol. She's like, "Don't worry, housekeeping will find you." Well, that's twice she's broken house rules. So yeah, Miss Perkins may not be long for this life, or long for this world. And then we are clicked back to Vigo, or not Vigo, but Wick at the church, and he's finished dumping all the coins, cash, and other stuff that's there. Now, any other person would probably take a little bit of the cash, you know? John Wick is not there to steal from Vigo. He's there to piss off Vigo, to draw Vigo out. And the guy asks him, What do you expect to do with all that? This. He pulls the pin on 2 white phosphorus grenades and tosses them in, and the place immediately starts burning up. And so he then goes and waits for Vigo to show up. Well, Vigo then kills the priest because all that shit has been destroyed. And he's like, can we recover from this? And his lawyer says, he's like, Vigo, you know what was in that safe. It's not. And he cuts him off because he's very pissed off that he just lost a lot of shit. Well, then John tries to get at Vigo and kills a few of them, but he's unable to get to him, so he gets caught. Now, the thing that I really do not, or the thing that I really like in this scene is the performance between John and Michael Nyquist, Vigo, where Vigo is telling him, he's like, do you know what was in that safe? Money or money coins and all that stuff, that can all be replaced. But the leverage I had on the city, evidence, blackmail, all of it, it was priceless, John. Priceless. And he tells him, yeah, I kind of enjoyed that. He's like, oh, yeah, you really enjoyed it. Are you really laughing? And then he hits him again. So he's like, and then Vigo tries pissing John off. He's like, you never changed, John. You may have gotten out. You've had your life with your wife, but the kind of person you really are, we're cursed people, you and I. I don't know if it was sheer fate or dumb fucking luck, but the kind of person you are, that is why God took your wife away. And we are cursed, you and I. And then John says, on that, we agree. And he's like, oh, finally, some common ground. And so John tries. He's like, just give me your son. He's like, for Christ's sake, it was a fucking car. It was a fucking dog. Just a dog? Vigo. And the way that Keanu performs this next scene, or the scene here, shows it shows the last empathy of John Wick in this moment. This is the last human moment of John Wick, where he's like, Vigo, the day I lost Helen, I lost everything. And then when that dog came, it was a last gift from my wife. I received a small semblance of hope that I would be able to grieve alone. And your son took that from me, took that from me, stole that from me, killed that from me. People keep on asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer, but I'm starting to think, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. So you can either give me your son or you can die screaming alongside him. And that's when they are just done and whatnot. And they try to kill Wick, but Marcus ends up saving his ass again. And he ends up getting out of there. Now, that performance between him and Vigo, where he goes from the last vestiges of his heartbreak into his pure rage. Keanu just does such a powerful job acting that out, where he builds and builds and just starts raging at him. He's got no heartbreak left at that point. He is now fully John Wick again. So after he kills Bernhardt and the rest of them, he gets one of the shotguns that they had out, and then he gets in front of Vigo's truck, shoots it out, goes up in front of onto the front of the vehicle and just blasts the driver. And he's about to blast Vigo, and Vigo's like, cool it, okay, cool it. And so he gets out of the car. He's like, John he's like, boom, and scares the hell out of Vigo. And Vigo's like, he tells him, where is he? Shit! I have your word. You'll let me walk away if I tell you where my son is. Pull the contract. Done. These people knew to fear Wick, but so many also respected him and knew what he is capable of and how far he will go to get to his goal. Vigo did try reasoning with him, but he realized after there was no reasoning with him, it was, well, wasted effort. So they pull the contract, or Vigo now pulls the contract, and he tells John where his son is in Brooklyn. He's in a safe house by the docks and whatnot. And he's like, they know you're coming. Of course they do, but it ain't going to matter. So he walks away, and then we are shown the safe house. And you see that people are there doing check-ins, and they cut between Vigo smoking a joint, and he's essentially mourning. Vigo's mourning at this point because he just sold his son out so that he might live. And so I love how it's cut between him doing this, rolling up the joint, smoking it, and then preparing to leave town. And you see Wick taking care of the guards and taking the rifle from one of the perimeter guards and checking in. And Yosef's pissed off at his friend who's still playing a fucking video game. Well, Wick then blows that guy's head off, blows one of the other guy's head off, and as he's moving in, he blows up all the cars that are used for a possible escape. So when Yosef finally gets down there, he gets gut shot, and I love how they do it in slow motion. What did he say? Enough? Yeah, exactly. And he walks right up, and as Yosef's final defiance, he was just going to say, it was just a fucking, but John Wick doesn't give him a chance. He just walks up, puts a bullet right in his face, and then he just walks off. It's perfectly shot. And because there is nothing else to be said. The compensation, or then we get back to the Continental, and as John's checking out, the management has decided to leave John a small bit of compensation. Excuse me. I got the hiccups now. So when he goes out, it's a set of keys, and you see this nice black Dodge Charger. And if you actually pay attention to Keanu Reeves movies, he drives a black Charger, or another black Charger, in the 2008 movie called Street Kings. And he then meets up with Marcus after that. Excuse me. I now are trying to get rid of the hiccups. Now, Perkins sees Marcus when he meets up with him, and he knows that Marcus saved his life. So we now know that Marcus is going to be killed because of it. So because she goes to Vigo and tells him Marcus betrayed him. So while John is heading home, he gets a call. As Marcus is being tailed, he gets led into a place. He puts his watch on the ground, takes out all of his weapons. He's like, all right, let's do this, whatever the fuck this is. And Marcus then sees it's Vigo. And we see Marcus getting beat up as Marcus is talking on the phone to Wick. They're cutting in between. And he told him, Marcus betrayed me. He was supposed to kill you, and in so doing, he broke the cardinal rule by helping you out. So I did what I did because I had no choice. He broke the cardinal rule. Hold on. That would be so freaking cool. if he does voice the or if he voices Shadow. So you see that, or Marcus tries to tell him, he's like, you pulled the contract, and while it was open, you had every chance to kill John Wick, and if you had done your job, my son would still be alive. And then Perkins walks in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm sorry about the hiccups, folks. I can't get rid of them. I'm going to try to work through them during the rest of the review. And he tells him, and then he puts a knife in Marcus's leg. He's like, you're going to go out on my terms. And he's like, no, good sir. I'm going to go out on my own. So in a last ditch fight, he manages to kill 2 people and then is about to go on Perkins, but Perkins is the quicker draw in this case. And hold on here. I know you already talked about this, but when Wick pulls the gun to the guard, Francis, he does not call him John, just an observation. Yeah, he calls him Mr. Wick. That's just good manners. So then Marcus is looking up defiantly as he's dying. He's like, see? And Vigo puts him out of his misery and then puts a few more in him for good measure. He's like, well played, old friend. So John goes to where they were, and Perkins is watching, but she gets a call. Now, I'm guessing Perkins was supposed to be in there to kill John. But she gets a call from Sharon, and in this situation, you cannot ignore a summons like that. If the concierge of the Continental is calling you, you have to do the meetup for whatever the business is. So while John is sitting sitting next to Marcus, we see that Perkins goes into this small area, and there's 4 people that surround her. And then you see Winston walking up to her. Miss Perkins, your membership to the Continental has been revoked has been by thine own hand revoked. And as he walks away, she's like, what? And they, or the 4 people that surround her, pull their guns up simultaneously and shoot her in the head. So she now has 4 bullets rattling around in her cranium. And then you see, as Winston's walking away, he holds out a couple coins to Charlie, the disposal guy, and Charlie dips his hat to him and walks in with the cleanup crew. So that's a nice little touch. So then Winston calls John to tell him where Vigo's going. He's like, I know what you're thinking, Jonathan. We all live by a code, and that's why I'm not telling you that there's a certain chopper being fueled for a certain someone at a certain location. Well, John knows where this was because he did work for Vigo. And we get into the final climax where John is trying to use the car that he got from the Continental to, hold on a minute. Yeah, ant season, folks. They're starting to come in. So, yeah, he starts. This is where it's more weaker writing for the film, where the lawyer is just like, oh my God, I knew he'd come. Does anybody got a gun? Does anybody got a gun? Does anybody got a gun? It's all he frickin' says. And you see Vigo's laughing about getting the car hit and whatnot. And he's like, oh, wow, that was actually a good one. And he's like, oh my God, does anybody got a gun? Does anybody got a gun? Oh my God. Vigo, we got to get you out of here. And then while Wick's taking care of all the other guys that are after the vehicle's slightly crashed and whatnot, he gives a gun to Mayhem, and he just plays a little bit with Mayhem. He's like taps the guy, and he's like, here, pulls it away, and then he's like, give it to him, and then he says good luck to him in Russian, And he's like, English, Vigo, please. Good luck. Fucking Russian cocksucker. Fucking lawyer. And then when John Wick is through killing all the other guys, there's one shot where one guy gets hit and John plugs the guy, boom, boom, or boom, 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 or shoots in an arc like this as the guy is going over the back end to the front end of his car. That was actually a pretty creative kill. And then he stops for a moment and Mayhem shoots at him. Then he looks at his gun and smiles. Well, John is not wasting any time. He shoots the guy in the leg and then crashes the car into his side or sideways into Mayhem, killing him. And then you see Vigo comes in trying to push John's car off the end of a concrete wall area. Now, if you pay close attention, there's a technical goof here. The car that falls off the edge of the wall has no engine. So you notice it if you know your cars. And then they are in the rain and they have their fight. And he's like, no more guns, no more bullets, John. He's like, no more guns, no more bullets. And they fight. There's a nice little hand-to-hand. And Vigo pulls a knife. And John stops him with the knife, but then pulls it into him, allowing him to get stabbed, but then breaks Vigo's arm by busting it upward to where you actually see the arm break, pulls the knife out, and then stabs Vigo right in the shoulder. Now, that blade is long enough that when you stab downward into here, you're puncturing a lung. Vigo is going to die. He's like, see you around, John. Yeah, be seeing you. And then we catch up to the part where the beginning of the movie happened, where John is crashes in, watches the video of his wife. Now that we have the full context, we can continue from there of where he was in the beginning of the film. He busts into a dog clinic or an animal clinic, stitches up, heals himself up, and then he notices that one of the dogs there is scheduled for termination. And he decides to take that dog home instead. It's a nice little brown pit bull, I think. And as he's walking away, you notice that it's the very same area where his wife collapsed in his arms in the beginning of the film, where you see where she is with, or where he was with his wife. And then we roll credits. So while the movie has its share of goofs and whatnot, and small mistakes here and there, this movie remains consistent for the most part. Small little digital blood enhancements and such can be overlooked for the most part, but objectively speaking, John Wick is around an 8.8 to a 9 out of 10. And that's an objective standard. There's very little wrong in the way of writing. This movie was also meant to be, I believe was not meant to be continued, but because people loved it so much, they knew that they could expand on it. Now, I could be wrong. I do believe that, or it is openly possible that they could have managed to make it planned for a trilogy and whatnot, because they just expanded further into the story in the John Wick 2 and 3. So, yeah, this movie is wonderful. When my brother actually asked me to watch it, it's like, I'll get to it. And then I checked it out. I'm like, why didn't I watch this when it came out? Why didn't I even hear about it? It's like, holy crap. So yes, objectively, it's about an 8.8 to a 9 out of 10. Subjectively, I absolutely love this movie. It's a 10 out of 10, and same with a moviegoer. This movie keeps you engaged. This movie gives you a good story. This movie it takes you for a roller coaster, you know? And so, yeah, when I think of John Wick, it's like this is a great trilogy right now, but they also have John Wick 4 getting ready for production soon. Now, that's going to be the review, the hint for the next review. Now, I have 2 mystery reviews for next week. One is going to be on Monday, which is the Memorial Day review. And 2 is going to be the May 31st Tuesday, which will be the last day in May. And the hints for this movie is the best of the 3. Yeah, I can agree to that as well. Now, the hint for Memorial Day mystery review: World War II and fuck Hitler. Those are your hints. Now, the hint for Tuesday, May 31st mystery review, you only get one hint: Star Wars. You honestly think I was going to not do a mystery review and not have one of those movies in the month of May, Star Wars month, a Star Wars movie? So I'm not going to give anything else in the way of a hint for the Star Wars mystery review, because if I do, everybody's going to guess it. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this review. Jacob Ironside, Kamen Rider, NB Geeks, Mazza, Dan Blackroyd, Jack of All Casuals, Pops. Who else? Chris Daly and Jacob Ironside. I said that. Also, Jason DeMenis for tuning in on Facebook. Thank you so much. Folks, hope to see you next week for the mystery reviews. Also, tune in for Thursday night around midnight-ish. I'm going to be doing this because I managed to score an early viewing for Top Gun 2. I'm going to come back and do my live review around midnight that night. So, yeah, I will be doing a Top Gun live review. Hope you all have a wonderful night. And always remember, folks, to like, comment, subscribe, share. Get me to 1,000 subs before June so I could do the whole dye my hair orange and beard orange and do the roast celebration stream. So if you guys get me there, it'll be awesome. So thank you so much, folks. Now, if you're catching this on the replay, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.